is really what we're talking about. What can we do? Check. There we go.
Or do you want to do Child's Play?
Yeah, that too.
I'll do Child's Play.
All right. Anybody looked at the live feed
No.
to make sure like something's happening?
Yeah, it's happening.
All right, it's happening.
I got the notification.
All right, so you're gonna do Child's Play?
Yeah, I'll do Child's Play.
You gonna say something about Spider-Man?
I'll say something about Spider-Man.
All right, cool. We ready?
Yep.
On this episode of the Culture Smash Cast,
Spider-Man swings in for Independence Day.
Grab your buddies. It's time to play.
all right,
And there's only 3 of us, so nothing else.
that's it. It's the Culture Smash Cast 494. You know what? I'm gonna cut that. It's the Culture Smash Cast episode 494 for July the 3rd, 2019. I'm Stephen Lackey, editor of CultureSmash.tv.
Nicholas Qualls, contributor to Culture Smash.
And Tina Heimbaugh, contributor to CultureSmash.tv.
So Zach is out. There you go. Zach is hard repairs. Nathan is flying somewhere over this country.
Somewhere.
Somewhere.
Are we sure? He could be international.
That's true. He could be. He could be. I should tell a story about him though. He got all excited. He was going to go to Canada, and he thought that he would be able to. I forget where he picked exactly, but he picked Vancouver, and he thought he was going to be close enough to Niagara Falls to be able to see the fireworks.
Yeah.
And we were like, dude, you're like way away from anywhere near seeing anything in this country. And he was in shock.
They might do some fireworks in Niagara Falls. I mean, half of it's in America.
But I mean, he's not even going to be near Niagara Falls.
Oh, well then.
He's going to be like in the middle of the country somewhere.
I have a friend that's from Canada, and Canada Day is on the 1st.
Right. So what do they do for Canada Day?
Apparently, it's very similar. I asked him, like, what cultural trappings are there? Like,
you right?
And he said, yeah, we drink and cook out and fireworks too. Probably not to the extent that we do fireworks.
America
America does fireworks
stuff up.
Yeah.
Similar, it seems like.
Okay. Well, he's going to just find a place to drink and
like all
celebrate America.
That was very well timed.
You like that?
It was.
So, we have a few things to do, but we're going to do one main thing, which is talk about Spider-Man, the new film.
Yep.
Spider-Man.
So, be warned, after we do the box office and go into Spider-Man talk, it's going to be
Spoiler heavy.
And then after that, we're going to talk about Child's Play.
Or should we talk about Child's Play first? Get it out of the way, then go into
Child's
Spider-Man.
Either way, we'll do
There'll
the
be
box
spoiler
office, Child's Play spoilers, then Spider-Man spoilers.
Yeah, so if you haven't seen either of these, you may want to reserve this episode for a couple of days until you see it. Because I know it is actually really early for Spider-Man. It just opened.
Yeah.
So here's the box office. Number 10 was John Wick Chapter 3, Parabellum. It made $3.2 million. It's made $61 million so far. No budget on that one.
It's got to be less than that. I am glad that it's still here, even though it is my least favorite John Wick so far.
But it's still...
it's still John Wick.
It's still one of the better action movies of the last 10 years.
Yes.
At least the third best. Number 9 is Rocket Man. It made $3.9 million. It's made $84 so far on a $40 million budget.
Think we're going to sequel?
I
think there could be a sequel. He's still going.
Yeah. I actually won a trivia question because of Rocket Man.
Oh, yeah?
The trivia question was, what musician was born Reginald Dwight? And I was like,
there you go. There you go. All right. Yeah, that's better. I can wave my paper in and out of the shot.
Number 8.
Number 8 is Child's Play, the 2019 Child's Play. That one made $4.4 million so far. It's made $23.5 million on a $10 million budget.
Yeah, we're gonna get more.
And okay, I'm fine with that.
I'm
okay with that.
So number 7 is Avengers Endgame, made $6 million, 841, almost $842 million on a $356 million budget.
We're not quite to beating Avatar.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to happen.
I'm holding out hope.
All right, I'm gonna reserve my discussion until we get into this. Number 6 is Men in Black International. That one made $6.6 million. It's made $65 million so far on a $110 million budget. Stop going to bad movies.
Yeah,
Just stop going.
Did you actually see it?
I did, but I didn't pay.
Yeah, all right,
yeah.
fine.
I was reviewing 4DX. I wasn't actually buying tickets, or I wouldn't have done it.
So it sounds like it's worth all the bad news it's getting.
Oh, yeah. I guess we haven't talked about it.
No, we haven't.
I mean, I don't have a whole lot to say except it is boring.
Oh.
And I know that
And for that kind of movie, you don't like it. Cannot survive being boring.
I would rather it had been, like bad
Yeah.
than boring. But we come out of it. I took Ada because she loves the Men in Black franchise, and that's the first thing she said to me is that it was boring. And we saw it in 4DX with the moving seats and the fog and the water and everything, and it still wasn't exciting. It was just boring. Chris Hemsworth has a lot of charisma, and that goes a long way, but not enough to save the movie. I forget the female
Tessa
lead.
Thompson.
Yeah, I didn't like her that much, honestly. Just did not like her in that movie. She was better because she's better in the MCU, I guess.
Yeah.
Although I hated the movie she was in as well. She was
Number 5.
yeah, number 5. The Secret Life of Pets 2. It made $7.3 million, $131 million so far on an $80 million budget. This is like this generation's Ice Age. It just keeps going. There'll probably be a third one, a fourth one. They're going to keep going.
Second one. I would. Once, if we get to 4, I'll say it's the new Ice Age.
I mean, it's mediocre animation, mediocre storytelling, but people keep going to it. That's why I compare it there. Number 4 is Aladdin, the 2019 live action one. It made $10 million over the weekend. It's made $306 million on a $183 million budget.
That's money.
Yeah, money. All right, so we've got 2 new openings back to back. Number 3 is Yesterday. That one opened with $17 million on a $26 million budget. I kind of want to see this movie.
I do too.
I do too.
Yeah, it looks cute. It looks like it could be fun. Number 2 is Annabelle Comes Home. It made $20 million on a $31 million budget. What can you say about that except that it nearly made its budget in its opening weekend?
That's true.
So
Yeah, but
It's a horror movie.
I want to point out we had 2 ones in second and third. What's at number 1?
number 1 is Toy Story 4. It made
What?
59, almost $60 million. It's made $238 million so far. We don't know the budget. I don't really know how this compares to the but I'm sure it's not.
All I know
It's still
is
my
my film is doing good.
Your film ball's doing good? Your film ball's doing
yeah.
better than Zach's film ball.
That was the
Zach's film ball.
Everybody's film ball is going to do better than Zach's film
Exactly.
You mean Secret Life of Pets 2 isn't pulling it out of the park? for
No, I don't
you?
think it's pulling out of the park. I'm looking forward to a big film ball episode, which I
2 weeks.
Yeah, I told this Nico I'm holding off on film ball updates till then because Hector will be here and Nathan will be here, so we'll have all of us here for that.
Still, Toy Story's whole 2 weeks in a
is.
row.
Yeah.
It is.
will not be there this week.
No. Something new this week.
Already
open is Spider-Man Far From Home. It's at 92% on Rotten Tomatoes, and Midsommar, which is at 80% on Rotten Tomatoes. I'm excited to see this movie.
I want to see Midsommar.
I do too. I am hesitant because it's the same director from
Hereditary, and
But I
people
hear-
love Hereditary, and I love
Of Hereditary.
I love elements of Hereditary, but overall I don't own the movie, and
It might help that it's a different
story.
story.
We've all seen it already, and
Right.
it's not in the top 10 list just because it literally came out yesterday on a Tuesday.
Yeah.
so weird. Why do you think?
4th of July.
Oh, is that what it is?
Yeah, 4th of July.
Because
Yeah.
you get a
Good
lot
point,
of
good
people that
point.
are already going to be out today on the 3rd of July, and then everybody's out tomorrow. Theaters are going to be open tomorrow.
You're right.
Yeah, it's-
That's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
Okay. So we've got some things to talk about. Let's just knock this out real quick. I guess I've seen the Next Level, the new Jumanji 3
I have
trailer.
not.
I am. It's so I was hesitant with how quickly they're turning around this Jumanji trailer, with how long there was in between the last 2 Jumanji.
Right.
But I thought it was a really neat idea on how to do it. Not to really spoil much.
I mean, it's in the trailer.
It's in the trailer. If you're one of those people that avoids trailers, you're in the spoiler territory.
Exactly.
For
Yeah.
The concept is characters. I mean, the last Jumanji movie, they got sucked to a game and play these game characters. Now, when they get sucked into a game, different people are in different bodies, the same ones.
Right.
So you still have The Rock, Jack Black, and so on, but different people, personalities who are in those characters. Basically, Danny DeVito is in this movie, and he's The Rock.
And just in the trailer is hilarious.
The Rock sells it. The Rock totally sells being Danny DeVito.
He's acting like Danny DeVito. And you know what I think is really kind of cool about this is in the previous Jumanji movie, it was young people who were very familiar with the video game universe. One of them in particular, and just sort of got sucked into it and were able to go with the flow.
Yeah.
But this is older people
who don't know anything about
so
video
they're
games.
able to recycle jokes from the previous movie and make them even funnier this time around.
In a completely new light.
Yeah. So I don't know. I'm excited for this movie.
It's so weird.
And I didn't think I would be.
I wouldn't either.
But yeah, I watched that trailer and you posted it, and I was like, all right, I'm in.
The last one was just a surprise hit.
It really was.
And this trailer
I
seems
actually was not wanting to like the last Jumanji as much as I liked
Mm-hmm.
it. Because being a 80s, 90s baby, you don't mess with my Jumanji.
Yeah.
You'll mess with Williams.
Well, and what's wise about the movie, that one and probably this one too, is they don't try to remake or redo or pretend that the previous one didn't exist.
And
They
not resting.
do a really good job of updating it to the modern world we live in, but still being true to the original.
And it doesn't seem like they're resting on their laurels. They're taking
Yeah.
concepts and just messing with them. They're doing like new things with them.
So speaking of taking things and updating to the modern age,
There we go.
let's talk about Child's Play.
Oh man. Oh.
I was really happy to see you guys went and saw this movie.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I mean, you should have known, me being me, we were seeing this movie.
Yeah.
I was really happy with this rendition of Child's Play.
It was
I was so
good.
skeptical. I didn't expect to like it going in.
I was kind of skeptical at first when
It depends on the mood that I was in when I watched the trailer.
Mm-hmm.
I like the Child's Play franchise prior to and this one kind of too, but it's always been so campy and fun, and the fact that they, for instance, changed out who Chucky is, that it's not Brad Dourif anymore, that was kind of hesitating. But
Especially since Brad Dourif is completely capable of continuing it and doing it.
I mean, Tina watched Cult of Chucky the
judge
last
me.
weekend, this past weekend on Sunday.
I heard it's not bad.
But the thing that struck me is it came out 2 years ago.
Yeah.
It's that new. But when they replaced Brad Dourif, but with Mark Hamill, and I'm like, oh yeah, Mark Hamill's got this in the bag.
Mark Hamill is if you're going to replace Brad Dourif, you replace him with Mark Hamill.
It was so many good Joker feels in this.
What's really bizarre though is you know that Brad Dourif's Chucky is going to live on.
Oh really?
Sci-Fi is doing a TV series.
Oh, that's
Nice.
great.
So yeah, it's almost like the multiverse or something.
Well, I want a Chucky versus Chucky.
That would be amazing.
It would be great.
No, he was like, I want a Chucky versus Annabelle.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
That would be awesome.
But I think the
I like
concept,
the changes that they made to Child's Play. And I didn't think I would. Like, one of the things that I loved about Child's Play, the 80s one, is that whole, it's the soul of a serial killer and that little supernatural element. So when I found out this one it's just all AI programming that causes it to go freaky, I was like, man.
But there's also
But it does a better job of explaining the obsessive, like, I guess,
attraction that Chucky has for the child.
Yeah.
Because he's imprinted
Yeah.
on him.
Well, I think it also does a good job of leaving an impression that there is supernatural maliciousness inside the making of Chucky.
Yeah.
For what happens to create Chucky is this doll is created in this Vietnamese factory. It's a sweatshop.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And
the guy who's in charge of doing the programming, I guess, has been spacing out, you can tell that he's depressed.
Yeah. Something's going on.
So his manager comes up and fires him on the spot. Says, finish this doll and then you're done.
Well, not only that, but he says, you're worthless. I should have left you on the streets to die.
That's the guy. So the coder then disables every safety feature in this specific doll.
Violence inhibitor, language inhibitor.
While there's a massive lightning storm happening just for atmosphere outside.
And then as the doll's being loaded onto the truck, and like two people are out there having a smoke break, all of a sudden you just see the body just go splash right into the car. So it's like that little bit.
There's something in there, something more than just code.
Yeah.
But it's so good.
So the first thing, the question that I had, and you know, it's like, I'm sure it's probably going to happen in a poorly executed way, honestly. But it's probably what's going to happen in future installments. Is why did they have? What kind of program had they written where they had to put these inhibitors in place to start with?
I have no idea.
Why would he have a violent tendency to start with?
Because all AI is inherently evil.
Yeah,
that's
well,
the answer.
and that's the social commentary of the film.
Well, and I love that is the toy of the toy when first Child's Play came out. It was that Teddy Ruxpin. We're gonna put like a cassette tape in it, and it's gonna talk to you and act like it's real. But this one is real. It's got the soul of a serial killer. With this one, the toys are smart. They interact with computers and your phones.
They're Alexa and
Alexa.
And that's what I think is so fascinating is it's riffing on some combination of Apple and Amazon.
Yeah.
Because some of the gadgets from this same company look like Apple devices, and one of them, the vacuum, is
Roomba.
legit just
It's a Roomba.
It's a Roomba.
to me, it looked like a giant Echo Dot just rolling across the floor.
You have the smart thermostats. You have drones, smart TVs. I loved it when we came home. I told Alexa, because we have an Alexa or something similar,
like that. Yeah.
Everyone on the show, and we got said, Alexa, please don't kill us.
So I actually gave Alexa. So when we say, Alexa, please don't murder us, she says, great friend, and then plays the Buddy song.
She did that though when I said Alexa. He's like, I don't know. Like,
so
that's eerie.
This is what's really funny. Nathan and I went and saw it. Me and Nathan and my friend Stacy was visiting, and we three of us went and saw it. And we came back here, and we were sitting out there in the dining room playing board games. And Nathan had said to me, why? Because I'll play music over the speakers that are in the living room while we're playing. And he's like, wouldn't it be funny if you put the Buddy song on just randomly while we're playing and see what Ada's reaction and other people in the room's reaction would be. So I put it on, and we started laughing. And of course, they weren't bothered by it because it's creepy, but it's not that scary.
You just listen.
But what happened that was crazy right at that moment is the speakers desynced from my phone, and I couldn't stop it. And then when I finally got it resynced to try to stop it, it went into the upstairs speakers, and I couldn't stop it there either. It took 15 minutes of rebooting the phone.
I kind of want to leave this place.
Yeah, it went from the Buddy song into the composed music, and I couldn't do anything about it. So it was pretty. And pretty funny.
I love the versions of the Buddy song, the little friendship song. In the ending credits, it starts with the regular one, but if you wait, and then it goes generic orchestral stuff. And then at the end, it redoes it, but a creepy, sinister version.
Literally just.
And it's like, this is straight up Mark Hamill doing Joker singing the song.
Oh, yeah.
It's terrifying.
So the thing that worked so well for me in this movie was in the 80s version of Child's Play, I enjoy them because of camp and for funny, but I never bought into it because it's just like Trilogy of Terror from the 70s. It's a little doll. Yeah. Kick it across the room. How is it going to, why is it being able to kill all these people? Well, in this modern retelling, it just takes over everything in your house. Yeah. So there's an excuse for what it does.
Like he takes over the car at one point.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That was terrifying.
Yeah. Although it did have favorite lines. It was like the woman going, you hobbit looking mother effer.
Yeah.
And he just like, yeah. No, I love it. It's a good like gory horror movie when Nico's sitting there, and during this where the janitor handyman,
the creepy pedophile
is sliced up, like as Chucky's stabbing him in like the certain areas that Chucky's stabbing. Like he goes over here, like, oh,
let's go to that.
Puts on a watermelon and puts it in a kid's bedroom.
Yeah, say, here, Andy, I made a present for you.
I still can't get over the first part of that when the guy drops off the ladder and the ankles just like right through his legs, and you see that. I'm like, oh my god, I know what kind of movie this is now.
Right. I did not anticipate that level of gore for this film.
I was very happy with that.
I was as well, but it was so cool not.
I was,
knowing that was coming, because it's the little things. When there's that level of gore, the little things are what gets me. And when the janitor's hanging from the pipe over that bandsaw, and his foot just scraped the blade, I was like, I freaked out for a second.
Nico was curled up in a ball.
I was.
Yeah.
It looked painful.
And then eventually he gets it.
Yeah. And another thing that was surprisingly good about the movie is the kid actors are good.
Yeah.
I was.
Yep.
They don't play them as purposefully crass to be like, oh yeah, are there kids in an adult movie? They can curse and be crude.
And they're not watching Texas Chainsaw Massacre Part 2.
I know.
I'm like, how weird. And laughing hysterically about it. I was like, well, that's me. I was that way.
Oh, and
Surprise, which I mean, they might.
really enjoyed it. It was. A
I
fun
loved
movie.
it.
Yeah,
I
wanted
want to see it again.
go.
My brother called me.
I wanted to go in it hating it. I honestly didn't want to see it. But ended up really liking it.
Yeah.
I think we're back.
Yeah, my brother called me because we check in and everything when we these. So as soon as I got out, I had a message from him being like, he's my
To the
something
extent.
I love all the
cameo or
horror
something
movies.
like that.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I called him like almost immediately, and I was like, "You movie, you are going to scream. You're going to love it."
I regretted not making more of a plan of seeing the movie because when I was like, I want to see it, and he was flying out of town or whatever, so we were like, okay, let's just go in the afternoon and see it. Had I had any feeling that it was going to be that good, I would have made more of a plan and gone with people instead of it just me and him and Stacy, just because he wanted to see it, and it was. I don't know.
I think it worked out. I think a low key mindset going into it helped.
It did, but I would have liked to have seen it at night in more of a packed screening. Because you could have.
Wasn't that packed, but we did see it at night.
Yeah.
And apparently, everybody knows the woman who plays the mom in this.
Aubrey
Plaza. Yeah.
I don't know her. I don't know.
She's one of the main characters in Parks
She's
and Rec.
April from Parks and Rec, and honestly, for like the first couple of scenes that you see her, we're like, oh, that's totally just her playing April.
She acts the same, but that's because she also acts the same in real
that's
life.
her.
So I don't have any basis for her except I loved her in this movie. She was like the definition of kind of hot soccer mom, and good acting.
Yeah.
She was right there with the kids. I even liked the detective next.
Yeah,
I did
he
too.
was fun.
I was really worried because I didn't want how like he died. I was glad he kind of came back.
Yeah, Nico's like, no, I actually liked it.
Yeah.
That's
As
awesome.
opposed to the mom knew he was bad just from the get-go.
Oh man, his death was so good. It was so cathartic. I loved it.
Yeah.
I wonder if we have like a Skynet sequel because of the way it's tied up.
That's
at
it.
the end,
It's gonna be Child's Play versus Terminator.
There you
James
go.
Cameron.
That I would
Get
watch.
on it.
Yeah, that I. So anyway, I guess we should move on a little bit. I put touch on it briefly because you guys haven't seen it yet. But one thing, since we're talking about horror movies, that's really funny is I saw Toy Story 4, and after it was over, I slipped in and watched Ma. Did you see this movie yet?
Not yet. I've heard
to.
back and forth things about it.
So
see Ma.
it's pretty terrible. I'm not gonna lie.
That kind of makes me want to see it though.
It's bad. Is
it bad almost leading into good because
no.
it's just bad?
So it's a red box.
Yeah, it's a red box.
It's a red box.
You got to watch it, and I want to talk about something gore. Really, I want to wait till you see it.
Okay.
That really, I don't think it was supposed to, but it really cracked me up watching that movie. But overall, no, it's terrible.
Yeah,
don't go to the theater.
Toy Story.
Toy Story 4. So I know that Tina, I learned shockingly, I'm still taken aback by the fact that Tina hasn't seen Toy Story 3.
I've seen clips. Like
That
I've
doesn't
seen them
count.
in the
We're gonna fix
furnace.
That's how Zach reviews movies. That movie sucked, and he only saw like.
He read
Okay,
the
I've
script.
never said a movie sucks.
I know.
just based on the
I know
clips.
you didn't, but I'm just saying
I am
you
not gonna
haven't.
be Zach.
You haven't seen it yet.
We will
No.
fix
Yeah,
this.
you need to see it
Yeah.
because in many ways, Toy Story 3 like gutted me more than any of the first one or the second one. It's just so good. The only thing I will say about it is it's a great culmination of that franchise. Like you get a complete amazing story with 1, 2, and 3. So we really didn't need 4. Mm-hmm. But I wanted to see it. I love the franchise, so I felt like I had to. First thing is, it's beautiful. It's easily one of the best looking Pixar movies I've seen. Early on in the film, there's some stuff that happens in the rain. I was staring at it, trying to figure out did they use real water because it just looked so. Like the character models, they look like the character models we know, only better. the backgrounds and the other stuff happening in the, oh my God, it was beautiful. So just without spoiling anything, I will say it's good.
Okay.
It's a good story, but a lot of other critics I've seen have said that this is the real, ending of this Toy Story franchise. It feels unnecessary to me. It's fine. It's a good story, but we've already had a great ending.
Yeah.
This is better than 2, but not as good as 3.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. That's fine.
Yeah.
All right. Spider-Man.
Spider-Man!
Far from
home.
Yeah, Spider-Man.
So I was lucky enough to get an invitation from Regal to come and see it in the Screen X theater. So Zach and I went Monday night to see it there, and I've seen 2 movies in Screen X. The first one was Godzilla, and we sat toward the back of the theater because the way Screen X works is it has 3 projectors. One that projects on the main screen in front of the theater, in the screen that
right?
and then there's 2 others that project their peripheral, and they take up pretty much the entire wall. Have we talked about this? Were you here when we talked about this before?
A little bit, yeah.
So my feeling after Godzilla was that it lower res, and the color grading was different because the projection color was different. So the colors look different. They didn't quite match, and I just didn't see the purpose.
But for Spidey?
So for Spider-Man, we decided to sit closer to the front. We sat in the first third, which the security person that was there actually came up to us and said, "You know what this room is for, right? You know what, where you're supposed to sit." And I'm like, "I know. We're not really here for it at this point. We know what Screen X is. We just want to see Spider-Man." And the problem with sitting in the back of the theater is the screen is squared off, so it looks small.
Oh, okay.
So I just would rather experience Spider-Man big than worry about the Screen X experience. The Screen X was better, but it's
still felt those same issues.
Yeah, there's a lot of warping that happens on the edges when it wraps. Like if a car drives by, it's like, okay, yeah, just bent.
Okay.
To me, if you're going to spend extra money, go to the 4DX. Or IMAX is a lot of the theaters, including ours, have been upgraded to laser projection, which is great because it's like looking at a giant OLED.
Yes.
So that's where I put my money. So specifically to Spider-Man, should we start with number ratings just to get a feel for where each one of us is?
No, I like ending with
7 to the
ratings.
end.
Yeah.
All right. Who wants to start?
This movie, I think it really did a good job capturing that. Just like the last one, the Homecoming, capturing that teenage feel of Peter Parker being torn in these different directions of, I want a normal experience. I want to just be Peter Parker, but all these Spider-Man responsibilities keep getting in the way. I think they did a really good job catching up with.
Oh, hey, Michelle. What's up?
That. And I liked a lot of the classmates. I think they interacted really well. I really liked how they did the whole Ned Leeds, Betty Brant hooking thing for the trip.
Right.
That's a relationship in the comics. I thought that was hilarious. A lot of really cool nods on that. I really liked Jake Gyllenhaal as Mysterio.
Okay.
I
was very glad that they didn't go, because I mean,
again, spoilers by the way.
Yeah, nothing's revealed in the trailers, but in the trailers they're like, oh, this is Mysterio. He's from another Earth. This is 616. I'm like, oh, that's gonna be a weird little trip off. But I mean, but it's a fake out.
No, it's
a complete fake.
Yesterday or this morning. It was this morning because we saw it last night.
Because he's from our Earth.
There was Earth. There was a Polygon article with the headline of like Spider-Man is first MCU movie to designate the universe it's in. I'm like, yeah, except they lied.
Yeah, right?
It's totally made up.
It's just a joke.
And the thing is, like, so when it's revealed Mysterio is, just a con man, they do flashbacks of Tony Stark doing the barf thing from Civil War, Hall in the background.
The guy from Iron Man 1, it's like,
right?
Tony Stark built this in a cave! A box of scrap. The guy, Obadiah Stane is yelling at is one of Mysterio's helpers.
It's so good.
That sequence of the 2 or 3 best sequences in the entire film.
I entirely agree.
Yes.
I liked Jake Gyllenhaal's Mysterio kind of earlier. I think he did a
solid actor.
Solid.
Yeah.
I think he really did a good job selling the whole kind of older brother. Good, it's like, hey, Peter, good job, Peter, and all that stuff. But like the twist happens, and you find out that, of course, Mysterio is faking everything, and he's got that kind of weird, psychotic, like on edge feel.
I was going to say that's his character.
That's all of his characters.
Another like top scene for me is when Spider-Man goes to Germany and that whole illusion fight in the building and then up to the train. Like that was
sort of
gorgeous.
The mind screw that happens. That to me,
so good.
That is why Mysterio has always been one of my favorite villains in the comics, because I love those sequences where Spider-Man has to stop fighting and start listening to his
Peter Tingle.
The only thing I would give probably it's hard to do that scene, and this is where comics shine. Mysterio can do that, and there's no real difference. But it is a very CG shot. You can easily tell, and it does because of that stand out a lot more. It's like I said, it's hard to do that. Like, it looked really cool, but I think that is something where comics could just do it better.
But I don't disagree with that.
But yeah, I liked Mysterio. I liked Peter.
I liked MJ.
I liked MJ. I think we did pretty well. I thought that the teen romance was pretty fun.
I did not like in the first movie. It was one of the dings that I hit home. Is I didn't like her in the first movie. It's Zendaya. I didn't. She was not Mary Jane to me. She was not the Mary Jane that I know from the comics and that I love.
Yeah.
But in this movie, she still is. But my mind is in a different spot after Endgame, because I think I told you guys I feel like it's a generational thing. I feel like what they're doing is not for our age group as much. This is a modern sort of what young MJ would be in the real world today versus what she was 70s and 80s or whatever.
And I like this take more than the other Mary Jane that I've seen. In Ultimate Spider-Man, for instance, she goes this kid reporter route. And in the PS4 Spider-Man game, she does the same thing.
She's straight up Lois.
She's a reporter for the Daily Bugle.
And that's annoying.
And that is annoying. It's like there are superheroes that have that character. That's not what Mary Jane is supposed to be. And I think this take is definitely a better take than
now to make her. I was going to make her
girl.
Something other than a supermodel is great, and that's what I appreciate being an actress in the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man era. She wasn't just a model, so she had more depth to her character. I will say this: Spider-Man 2 is still better than this film. Spider-Man 2, I've no doubt about it.
That's fine. Spider-Man 2.
Okay, so let me tell you what the issue that I had was. So a lot of this movie is built on the twist of who Mysterio really is. So you have to spend 30 or 45 minutes him fight
these fake elementals.
I had no investment in those characters at all, except to say, why is Nick Fury stupid? Why is he stupid this whole movie?
We find that out later.
Yeah, but and in fact, we didn't really get it until the post, which to me, if that's your way of storytelling, you get dinged. That's weak.
That's fine.
That is weak, because I didn't care about Water Guy. I didn't care about Fire Guy. It was just, this was the splash of a good Spidey comic.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So part of it, I think, for me, is trying to figure out a good place to gauge mainstream non-comic booky audience, because we knew.
Oh yeah.
Like we straight up
comics
we knew the
Mysterio's bad.
Yeah,
but I don't think, even though like Mysterio's billed as the bad guy in marketing materials and whatnot, like the mechanic of what the twist is and the other guys are, I don't think necessarily audiences knew. It's like, oh, it's all projections and stuff. It's all, he's a special effects guy. That's what Mysterio is. I don't know how much of that a lot of people would know going into it. I was surprised though the elemental bit.
It went on so long.
Well,
Mysterio
not just
riffing only happens for a few minutes in the comic world. Then you get to the meat of it.
Yeah, it's not even just that. It's more so in the movie, Mysterio's fake story that he sells to Nick Fury and Spider-Man is that he's from an alternate dimension, and in his dimension, his world was destroyed by these elemental beings that are these primordial beings created by the key elements, not actually like the earth, wind, fire, and all that stuff, which is nonsense. And he spins that story. It's like, they're happening here on your earth too now that I'm here, and so he has to fight. And I just thought it would have been better if it's like, yeah, I'm chasing these Hydro Man and there's Sandman, and if he like did stuff like that, like actual Spider-Man, I thought that would have been better.
Yeah, but it's just I didn't care about any of it. It's like you said, it's a lot of CG and a lot of bouncing around, and I'm fine with CG as long as you make me care about what he's fighting. You know, give me some kind of investment in the story.
I guess that's the difference for me, because for me, that was part of the main story, but also for me, a lot was dealing with after the blip, after Tony Stark. Because right now, Peter Parker's lost. He doesn't know if he wants to continue just...
And it was rendered as well in the movie as it was in the trailers.
Yeah.
The trailers really made you feel something, but the sequences in the trailers, I don't know if you noticed, but there's a sequence where he's like, I really miss him. I miss him. And that's a shot of him sitting in front of a giant mural of Iron Man. It was completely different, and it doesn't have the
impact. There are a lot of shots like that.
I will say one scene in the movie that tugged at my heartstrings was when Happy looks back and Peter's playing with the projections just like Tony Stark, and he
even does, make the new Spider.
Yeah, he even does the glove in the arm, and exactly.
That was done.
That was beautiful.
That was done very well.
It was.
I think
it was.
Another
that spider suit, though. By the way, by the end of the movie, didn't really have any impact in the story at all. All the work he did, it didn't.
The only thing,
not much.
The only thing. Tweak it happened was the tweak on the
webbing.
The webbing was the.
He added the webbing underneath for the gliding.
That's been that was in the first one.
It wasn't the first one.
Yeah, because it was in the scene with the Washington Monument.
I guess it was.
They made it better this time because he definitely used it more.
He did use it more.
And it was cool. I also, by the way, if you like the 4 game, okay, I still like Homecoming, the main blue and red suit, the most so far out of all the.
What, you mean you don't like Night Monkey suit?
Yeah,
I thought that was cute.
Cute.
I liked it when he was in the jail cell too. But I talked about a lot of the stuff I like, and a lot of that is Tom Holland is great.
Tom Holland is best. He's best Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Tom Holland is best Spider-Man.
I did not like the MacGuffin of the movie, the Edith system. Basically, we find out
so broken.
That Tony Stark.
The only thing that was good about that system was the name, which was a cute
even
joke.
dead, I'm the hero.
Yeah. Tony Stark wills to Peter Parker his glasses that he had in Infinity War and Endgame that hooks up to his massive security system. He basically gives Spider-Man, Peter Parker, access to Stark entire satellite-based security system, and then Peter gives it to Mysterio, thinking Mysterio is probably going to be a better person for it,
right?
Because he's not a kid. Like
that whole dealing with, do I want to be the next Iron Man?
To be
Am
fair,
I good enough to be the next Iron Man?
If my choice was Mysterio or Nick Fury, I don't. Either. I would have broken the glass.
But the Edith system in and of itself, the only thing the redeeming piece of that system to me is he fought through 2 Avengers movies to try and convince his teammates that they a global shield.
Yeah.
So he just on his own, like what Tony Stark does. Now, if he was going to be, it would have ever been Peter Parker. It would have been.
Should have been Pepper.
It would have been Pepper, or it would have been Captain America, or somebody like that. Well, knowing
it might have been to Captain America, but then Captain America happened.
But my point,
it could have, because the movie opens with the in memoriam, and it's like, here's the people we lost: Tony, Cap, and Natasha. But technically, Cap's alive. He's just super old, so he could have
died. Or maybe he died between.
I mean, he could have died. He could have, but I would have given it to old Cap.
Right.
Not that he would have known, but if. But I don't know. It's just I would not have given it to the 16.
The fact that even exists is kind of a broken storytelling. No, it's OP.
And not only is it OP that Mysterio and his people, he has a whole team of people that are all ex-Stark employees, and that's
their entire motivation. Stark screwed us over once or twice.
Yeah. And I'm fine with that motivation.
Yeah.
That goes in literally the worst scene in the movie. We had this same discussion with Us, where the scene where the villain just sort of explains everything.
And
It starts off cool.
Yeah.
But then he's literally looking at people and saying, "You not only looking at the audience and bullet listing what has happened or what's going to happen, but you're it just felt clumsy."
But I've seen things like that, and like in meetings where like you have somebody who's like,
Victoria, you with doing this and this and this. It's
yeah,
like,
well, that's
I don't know. It just did not work for me.
In those meetings, that's typically what that person who's speaking is doing. Is he's looking at, I'm just saying, it's like, and John Smith did this, but the voice is to project to the whole audience.
Yeah.
So I get that.
I see where Steven's coming from.
I get the complaints.
Like
I didn't
feel right.
I've seen enough of this in real life that it didn't really.
And I
bother
guess
me.
part of maybe it wouldn't have hit me quite as hard, except that I had already experienced so many scenes. You know, Nick Fury and Jake Gyllenhaal and everybody around Peter Parker's like, "You're a 16-year-old kid. You're a 16-year-old kid. But what are we going to do?" It's like that one scene where they bring him in and tell him you were going forcing Spider-Man to help, and then he looks at Spider-Man. Now that I've forced you to come and help, what are we going to do? Like, give me the plan. I'm like, who is the leader and who is the 16-year-old?
I really didn't like a lot of the Nick Fury.
I took that one to be that he was. Listen.
Well, but it wasn't.
Asked, like, what we're doing.
I thought that too. Well, maybe he just wants him to speak the plan back.
Yeah.
But they should have worked a little harder on that exchange because it sure didn't feel like it to me.
I didn't second guess that. I thought straight up that's exactly what it was. It's like, you look like you're not paying attention. What's the plan? I want you to tell me what it is so I know you listen.
But in retrospect, it makes sense because they want you to pretty much hate on Nick Fury anyway.
Yeah.
So you can get a kick in the butt by the post credits.
So we have two post credit scenes. We'll get to let's do the last.
More of an impact.
We find out. I don't know. We both are impactful. We find out that Nick Fury in this movie, at least, and Maria Hill, particularly, they're both Skrulls, the shape-shifting aliens from Captain Marvel. Particularly, Nick Fury is Talos, the main Skrull, played by Ben.
I don't remember his name.
The main Skrull from.
But it's a consensual transformation.
Nick Fury's basically on a space station somewhere, and the
like
Skrull
vacation.
the Skrull is reporting to Nick Fury, which we were talking about how they could fix something in the movie, which we'll get to. Like they could do the Secret Invasion storyline,
which I kind of just feel like they're leaning toward.
I hate Secret Invasion so much because in the comics,
it feels like a cop out to use the Skrulls as the bad guy over and over and over.
So the Secret Invasion storyline in comic books, basically,
it could be a Skrull. I can't trust it.
This movie said it where it's not the Skrulls who are invading for Nick Fury.
They were set up in Captain Marvel as not bad guys.
I love that. That was one of my favorite parts. Universe building in Captain Marvel. The Skrulls are not bad guys.
Yeah,
and in this too, they're not bad guys. They're sentient life model decoys. That's exactly because you have a fake Nick Fury working for Nick Fury, doing Nick Fury stuff where Nick Fury sent him.
Yeah.
It's a life model decoy, just like in the comics. It's just
like that.
What
was that Michael Keaton movie where he replicated it? Multiplicity. And they're even more dumb.
So it's not stealing the agency away from Nick Fury.
Okay, so here's the other thing.
So that's why I was okay with it.
So that, Marvel has almost a tradition at this point of terrible green screens. I saw that and I'm like, wow, they just went like, and then it pans around and it's a hologram that he's on this beach. So there's a bunch of ships.
Yeah.
What are those ships? Do you think those are
next Captain Marvel movie?
Yep.
Yeah, you think those are Skrull ships?
I don't know. They're Skrull ships. I think
there's a lot of things.
A generic station.
So
Space Nine.
There is that story from the comics of Nick Fury having left the planet. He created S.W.O.R.D. and all that stuff.
Yeah.
It
could be that.
Valid arguments that I've been seeing that say that Nick Fury has been fake Nick Fury since Age of Ultron.
And I'm curious how far it's going to go back. I think that's valid. I think the argument can be made, but given the discussion that we've already had earlier, how dumb Nick Fury has seen in this movie.
Well, not only that, when Captain Marvel came out, people were already posting the inconsistencies of that scene where Captain Marvel turns to Nick. Yeah, it's like, tell me something that no Skrull, and Nick Fury says, I cannot eat toast if it's cut.
Diagonally.
And he does that in
Age of Ultron.
Yeah,
Age of Ultron.
like, I would not be
So
surprised
why?
if they ran
Well,
with
but
that.
why would they do something so minute if it didn't mean something? Unless it's a redirect, just to something to get people talking.
I honestly think they're going to try and push the whole Nick Fury's been in space for decades.
I think they're going to push something like that, and I hope they do, because I think Nick Fury got so screwed in Captain Marvel. What they did with the backstory with the eye and the whole thing, that guy deserves some love. That character. Some kind of love.
I was really wanting in the middle of this movie, or towards the end, when you had Maria Hill go up to the top of the building and then bazooka down a drone. And I'm like, you know what? I really want a S.H.I.E.L.D. movie. I really like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and I like a lot of the people on it. But I want a Nick Fury, Maria Hill movie. And you bring in those characters too.
I think you could do that with the Black Widow movie.
I think you kind of could, but it's not really going to be as S.H.I.E.L.D. based.
Cool.
Yeah, but I would still really like that.
I would too.
The other ending bit of the movie.
The other ending bit of the movie is my favorite part of the movie.
The mid credit scene. So the movie is
I almost screamed.
The climax of the movie is in the final fight, Mysterio air quote dies. I say air quote because I don't buy it yet, but it seems like he is dead. There's a body. It doesn't seem to have life signs.
Yeah, I think it's an illusion.
But
and Spider-Man's like, I don't know why you would do this. And he says, you'll see.
Yeah.
That to me, that's the setup for what we're going to see.
Not only that, but after. Sorry, go ahead. But I call next speaking point.
Well,
Steven.
Just to do it. Just to set up again the Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Jake Gyllenhaal's Mysterio takes over Arc drones. Spider-Man takes them back at the end, and Jake Gyllenhaal's Mysterio dies from a gunshot wound. Well, we find that a doctor
and killed Mysterio,
and then it makes it look like he killed Mysterio, and so Spider-Man is thus labeled a bad guy, and Mysterio and Spider-Man's name is Peter Parker. So Spider-Man's name, and this is in our view, we see Spider-Man watching this in a video in a kind of it's not Times Square, but a very wide open, in the middle of New York City, large screen on a building. We see Spider-Man watching this out in the daylight. So
and they even show a
picture of
high school photo of Peter Parker.
So yeah, basically Spider-Man's identity is revealed, and it looks like he's a bad guy, which the bad guy bit can be disproved fairly easily. You have, even if it's a theory, you have fake Nick Fury going, that's fake. Like everybody who's involved, all the government agencies and whatnot, could disprove that part. But they can't do a good job putting the lid on Peter Parker's Spider-Man, because why else would Mr. label this random kid from Queens as Spider-Man, unless he's Spider-Man? Now, the best part is that news agency I mentioned is the Daily Bugle with J.K.
From Peter Parker happened after he died.
I just took it that...
So, how did he get that? How did he edit that in negative 10 seconds that he had?
I just figured it. No, it was the other guy. It was the Iron Man 1 guy. Yeah, the random.
That could be it, but I don't know. I believe
the shot of him in a laptop downloading something in the middle of when everything ending. So that's what that is.
I don't know. I still use that as Mysterio's still alive.
Still alive. I think Mysterio could still be alive.
Yeah,
also.
I honestly, he and I were talking about it in the car. He's like, they could use the post credit scene to halfway fix the post credit scene. You could use the scrolls to mimic Nick Fury and all that. Or on the opposite end, that could not happen. Like they could take a vow of silence almost, because it's not a top priority for them.
Something. But the issue that I have
Bigger's company
is because of Homecoming, and in this movie to some degree, but especially because of Homecoming, Spider-Man is so OP. He has so much technology. if all he needs to do is be Peter Parker in the presence of Spider-Man to prove that he's not Spider-Man,
He can do it easily.
that's easy to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially because of all the Stark stuff he has.
In the old comic book days, that was not an easy thing to come back from.
No, it wasn't.
You know?
Although I do like that that Peter was smart.
Yeah.
Like when he geeked out about the concept of a multiverse and actually throwing out actual scientific terms.
That one line is never apologize for being the smartest man in the room.
And the fact that while he used all this Stark tech, but he designed this new Spider-Man suit. I liked that Spider-Man was smart.
I like that too because I always question, even as a kid, how did he know how to build his web shooters?
It's great that he has the manufacturing capability.
The school he's in is a magnet school.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah, no, they've set him up to be the guy that can. Yeah,
He's always had that capability. It's just
it's a great middle ground too because the when we first see Spider-Man in Civil War in Cap Civil War, he's built web shooters. He's developed the web fluid. They're very rudimentary devices, and then because he doesn't have the production capabilities,
he doesn't have the production capabilities. He doesn't have access to the finer materials that come with being a billionaire.
So it's a good meeting in the middle. Just so I was very happy with that. I was very happy to. Just be smart.
So there's one thing that you haven't brought up yet that I know there used to be a real sticking point with you in regards to the Spider-Man films that was for me in this movie because so when we think about Spider-Man Civil War and he's fighting the Avengers, one of my favorite scenes in that movie is when he gets a hold of Captain America's shield and his comment is like, how is this even possible? It defies physics,
Yeah.
And he's introducing himself to the Falcon the whole time he's fighting. It was hilarious.
We don't have a quippy Spider-Man.
We got no comedy in that respect. I feel like the director in this movie, his focus is to drill all of the comedy into the teen rom-com sections of the film, which worked, but I don't like that genre.
So I felt like basically most of the fights that we got with Spider-Man were something that really exercises quippiness ability.
And it's because he was fighting for so much villains that didn't even speak.
Well, not only that.
Like even in the trailers when they had that one scene that didn't make it into the movie where he's fighting the bad guys in like what looks like a restaurant, that would have been a perfect time to have quippy Spider-Man.
Yeah. Before he left
New York. They took that out.
I think it's because it's not only that, it's one, he doesn't want to be there. That's really, I think, the crux of it.
That has never stopped Spider-Man wise ass, though.
Yeah, but I think it's basically he's preoccupied so much of trying not
very heavily.
I'm telling you, I believe it's 100% because he had nobody to interact with when he was fighting.
And I think that's also a good point. He still does do some quippiness. I like the line a little tight in the web shooter.
Yeah, that was pretty funny.
That was a good one.
Even though I'd seen it like 70 times in the trailer, it's still funny in the context
of
the film.
You're right. He doesn't have to bounce off of. And that's also one of the reasons I kind of wanted Mysterio to... I wanted the in-credit scene that we got in Spider-Man Homecoming with the Vulture in prison with the Scorpion. And now I wanted...
Everybody's leaning into Sinister Seven.
I wanted it so bad.
If you get your Sinister Seven before I get my Mandarin, whatever. If you get that before I get my Mandarin, like
real Mandarin,
done right, Mandarin.
In the beginning,
and
that's the reason that funny scene that we all like got taken out is because it was. I read an interview with the director. He said we needed to get him out of the country. We needed to get him on with it because so much of that stuff happening. It takes. Admit that it works even when I don't like that genre. I don't like romantic comedy, whether it's teenager or old women and men. I don't care.
And that's you have Peter and MJ. You have Ned and Betty. You have Happy and Aunt May.
Which was the only part rom-com wise that I actually really liked. It was cracking me up. Yeah, it was cracking me up.
I love that. Was one of my favorite parts at the end. It's like, all right, we're gonna sit down.
Yeah, because it felt like he was doing the Tony Stark farewell dialogue. Like at the end of Endgame where Tony Stark... It felt kind of like that.
It did.
But it was him talking to Aunt May and Happy about their relationship.
Yep, and that was hilarious. So here's another character for me, that his friend, Ned. I love Ned from Homecoming. Yeah. I love that character in the comics, in the Ultimate Comics, and I in this movie, once he started dating that blonde girl that was so random and sudden, I hated him. He became so melodramatic. The scene in the opera house broke me because he's like, Peter, please keep him away from us. And I'm like, don't you know that's what he's going to do anyway? It's overwrought and stretched. I'm like, ooh, it just cringe. It's cringe for me.
Yeah, he's not being quite as interesting of a character at that point. Mm-hmm. It's not like I hated him, but yeah.
I hated him until the end when they broke up and became again. I was like, okay.
I felt it was kind of like, I don't know. I felt it was kind of forced when, MJ finds out and he comes into the room as Peter's changing into the Spider-Man suit, and MJ's there, and he's like, I knew first. So
he's basically at that point taking over. He's like, I'm his best friend. Let's get that right, but you haven't been this whole trip.
Right. That killed me. I'm like, you're saying that, but you're not owning it.
It's very weird.
That killed me because I liked in Homecoming. I thought that buddy balance between the two of them was really so good.
I mean, even in you saw where Peter's like, I need you to cause a distraction, and he doesn't even care.
He just snaps right into it. Yeah.
Well, I don't think that was intentional. I'm pretty sure he just saw what was going on.
And it was like, oh my god, that's our genuine reaction. We're all gonna die.
Right, and one last thing. What school goes on that?
That is a weird science trip.
And they even look at you and wink and say, oh yeah, this has nothing to do with science. And I'm like, I hate you right now.
That science, the biology teacher is like, it's all like, what? This is supposed to be like
a science trip. Yeah.
Well, not only that, as Tina said, it's a magnet school, and you have
these are super smart kids,
and their teachers are bad.
It's because that was leaned into just for a joke instead of actually really good story writing. I think the story would have been better if it was a senior trip.
Honestly, it's because they did.
It felt like a senior trip.
Saying it was this science trip was a bad call.
Mm-hmm. Saying it was a science trip was a good way to
air quotes were there for audio listeners.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Good way to get the core group of students needed to get on there without bringing a shit ton of extra.
The very conveniently all snapped and blipped at the same time.
Yes.
Right.
Not all. Remember.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Okay, so I guess
I did one last thing. I did like the little bit of sympathy and humanization that we get from Flash Thompson at the end, where it's his butler or driver or whatever picking up. It's like, oh,
that was such a weird scene because it felt like there was going to be a payoff of somebody being nice to him, and that never happened. And I can only guess that that's laying work for 3.
Yeah,
it has to be.
All right, so let's wrap it up so we can move on. All right, so out of 10,
7.
Wow, that's lower than anticipated for me. I thought you liked it a lot better.
I'd say 7.5. 7.5.
Okay. Wow. I'm impressed because it's hard for me because Spider-Man is my favorite comic book character, just like you.
I mean, yeah, but that doesn't mean there aren't bad Spider-Man movies.
Yeah. I want to love it.
It's
the thing.
I like it. I like it a lot. I don't know if I love it. I love parts of it.
I
love it as much as Peter Parker loves Led Zeppelin.
What would you all right. Let me get the clarification. What's Homecoming?
Oh, Homecoming's probably 8.59.
See, I would say there's a point difference. Far From Home's like 7.5, Homecoming 8.5, or 8 to 9, somewhere around there.
See, Homecoming for me is about an 8.5.
Yeah.
And this one was a 6.
Okay. Yeah.
I just too much, not enough cool villains.
Okay, let's rank it the other way. Spider-Man movies, live action, because
we don't count the Spider-Verse
because that's too good.
That's a 10.
Yeah.
All right. So Spider-Man 2, Spider-Man 3, Amazing 2, Homecoming, and Far From Home.
Yeah.
2 is the top.
2 is the top for me for sure.
Homecoming
is.
I go back and forth between Homecoming and 2 being 1 and.
Okay, that's fine.
But
they're the top 2.
Yeah.
2 is the top for me in Homecoming.
And then Far From Home.
I'm probably gonna put
1
Spider-Man 1, then Far From Home.
I'd put.
Because even though he looked like a Power Ranger,
Willem Dafoe is so good.
Is so good, and the villain matters.
I know.
The villain matters, and Doc Ock is still the best villain in the Spider-Man universe.
Origin story that 1 did.
Yeah,
but he still.
That was
compression's sake.
It was,
but it was still. Willem Dafoe was great.
He was great.
I think.
And what's his name? As his son was He was good too.
James Franco.
James
I
Franco
would
was great
probably
too.
put him on equal level. I can go back and forth either way. And then Amazing 2, Amazing 1, and 3 is at the bottom.
So,
Oh yeah, 3 is always going to be at the bottom.
what is your order?
Homecoming 2. I would say.
It's okay to be wrong. We still love you.
I would say Amazing 1. Going back and forth, Amazing 1 and Far From Home. I'd have to see both again.
You made me
Okay.
cry.
And then
I hate both of those amazing movies.
and
I
then
hate
1,
them.
Amazing 2, and then 3.
Okay. All right.
I liked Amazing 2 more than 1. I think I'm the only one in that camp.
The
But Amazing
only
2
thing about Amazing isn't that the Gwen Stacy story.
Yeah, Gwen Stacy.
The
was good
execution
in
of
it.
Gwen Stacy was kind of cool. And, yeah, you like that? You like
There's a
that?
scene like when he's swinging with MJ, she drops a bit and he goes after her. I'm like, oh no!
No scene
I'm
though.
curious, are they gonna do
A Gwen Stacy,
a
yeah.
Gwen
I'm
Stacy
sure they'll-
vlog?
I'm sure
I
they'll-
already snapped once.
You're right.
Or they break them up and then have Gwen. I don't know how they're gonna do that work, but it is important to kind of have that. I think that failure is a
The
big
failure of catching her.
because that's the thing is Spider-Man's whole career
It's so definitive of who
Yeah.
he is.
is just trying to make up for his failures,
Yeah.
and we
Uncle
don't
Ben and then
Uncle
Gwen
Ben
Stacy.
they have a lot of that. He kind of feels that a little bit with Tony. The zombie Iron Man with the
Oh, that
spiders
was
crawling
great.
out. That was so good.
That was cool.
I had to look away because of spiders, but that was.
So
really
here's one
good.
other thing that I want to bring to you guys' attention, and this is I guess, just straight up, just maybe the filmmaker in me.
Probably.
But when you look at the best movies, the way that those movies are directed it's very connected stylistically to the person who made them. Joss Whedon.
Yeah.
Totally Joss Whedon movies, yeah.
Yeah, it looks like his stuff, and it feels like his stuff. Winter Soldier, Civil
The
War.
Russos, every Russo brother movie, it
Yeah.
just feels
You
like.
can tell.
So now let's think
Yeah.
about Spider-Man. When you look at Spider-Man 1, Spider-Man 2, the kind of not good Spider-Man 3, those are Sam Raimi films.
Those are totally,
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
exactly.
But look at this one, it could have been anybody. They have no style. They look like utilitarian, and they had these
They're very
milestones
much-
to hit.
I feel like
You know?
it's so weird. Marvel, particularly back in like the 60s, 80s, they were very much known for having house styles. You would have definitely out there artwork and storytelling. It's a very good example of it. It's a house style movie. It is by the numbers. It feels like this. So
You get these directors who can execute,
Yeah.
can finish a film, but they don't feel like someone put love into it.
Now,
in that way.
I will say, I think there is a style here, but it's very much the thing that you don't connect with as much. It's that teen rom-com thing.
Well, but that's in storytelling. That's not in just like feel and look. I could think of 17 directors in this movie and it would look exactly the same. Whereas if you look at Spider-Man, and I love MJ and Peter Parker in the first two Spider-Man movies, it's still there, but man, that's a Sam Raimi thing. And this is a
like my
Russo
least favorite
brothers
part of those
thing.
movies.
You know?
I
You know?
absolutely hated MJ.
I think
in
it's.
the first
I think
Spider-Man
stylistic.
The Tiger part is still like the most
That's-
perfect execution of MJ.
I think
that's
that was a good line.
That was a good line, but Kirsten Dunst
her delivery
was
of
awful.
it. No,
But
no,
like
she's-
I thought the
great.
delivery of that
She's
was fine.
great.
I don't like that rendition of MJ all that much.
Yeah.
She was too
plain.
dead fish-eyed for me.
But no, I think he doesn't have as much of a visual eye, but I think there's definitely a feel for story that he likes to stay in.
I think it's maybe for me.
It's
maybe
just more subtle.
It's the focus on the rom-com side than
Yeah.
more the
Yeah.
Spider-Man side,
Yeah.
and maybe that's it, because it really feels like, oh, it's a lot of CGI and it all looks like Spider-Man. It's,
But
you know,
a lot of that's going to be not easy to do in 3.
Yeah.
We don't know when 3 is going to come out.
We don't know.
Yeah.
We don't know.
You mean
had a-
awful? Yeah.
it was not a great movie.
I will say stylistically,
I like the comic book.
Yeah.
is the most interesting thing about that movie. But no, I think the next movie has some ground to cover in terms of how they're going to address the post-credit scene or the mid-credit scene. So it can't be
Peter sort of villainized by J. Jonah Jameson for a while, because that was the Spider-Man I grew up with, and I loved that sort of aspect of the people who lived and worked on the streets knew.
It definitely was missing from Homecoming and all the Spider-Man we've had in this universe. So I'm very glad that I agree. I want to see Spider-Man be basically this underdog.
Yeah.
It spoke to the social commentary that was always in Spider-Man. He was the everyman guy. He was your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. The baker down the street was a good guy, but J. Jonah Jameson and the politicians didn't.
Yeah.
I didn't buy off Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So we're an hour 2 minutes. All right. We got our number scores. So we're done with movies. We're going to go into TV right now. We still very comic book centric episode.
Yep.
Recently announced Neil Gaiman's beloved Vertigo comic that basically put Vertigo on the map. Sandman is coming to television.
That sounds like a dream.
Thank you. Netflix, in fact, has signed what sources describe as a massive financial deal with Warner Brothers to adapt the bestseller into a live-action series, which is what will possibly be the most expensive TV series out of DC Entertainment. And it's so far picked up for an 11-episode order for season 1, which is supposed to adapt Preludes and Nocturnes, mostly, the first trade collection. Coming onto the project, Alan Heinberg, who wrote on Wonder Woman, ABC's The Catch, Grey's Anatomy, he's set to write and serve as the showrunner. And Gaiman will also be on it as well as an executive producer. The only worrisome bit for me is David Goyer also being an executive producer. But as far as I'm guessing, Gaiman's going to have a very heavy hand in it.
So Goyer has done a few good things.
Yeah, I mean, if he's not in control, he's done a few good
things. If he's a part of the team.
Which is why I'm optimistic.
Yeah.
Netflix takes... the Netflix take is going to represent the first Sandman series after numerous attempts to try to get it on any sort of screen, which is, TV's screen. It's going to be the first one that looks like it's really going to happen.
It's a hard story to execute, though.
So Sandman is about a character named Morpheus. He's the Lord of Dreams and part of this group called the Endless, a powerful group of siblings that basically universal abstracts personify. Destiny, death, destruction, despair, desire, delirium. He is dreams, so it's all D's. There have been various attempts, as I mentioned, like in 2003, Joseph Gordon-Levitt told IO9, Eric Hesser was a screenwriter attached to the New Line movie set in 2006, that he basically thought it couldn't be a movie as well, which I totally agree. A lot of these comic book franchises should not go straight to movies.
Yeah, there's
too much.
There's too much. And Sandman's a very dense, heavy material that is stuff that you sit with. It's not an action-y kind of thing.
And it's so stylized. Appeal to a niche group.
It will. And it's also Netflix's attempt to kind of combat a lot of the heavy franchise genre that other services have been going for, like Amazon going hard into Lord of the Rings, HBO trying to explore more of the Game of Thrones universe, as well as bringing Watchmen. I find this fascinating because it's very telling of the DC Universe streaming service. We talked a few weeks ago about how they killed Swamp Thing. It was canceled after the first episode of the season aired. So it was going to finish out the season, that's it. And it seems like Warner Brothers, now partially owned by, what was it, AOL? Or AT&T?
AT&T, yeah.
It wasn't.
AOL? It was actually AOL.
AT&T. But so reevaluating how they want to stream the DC entertainment stuff. Right. And we have, before Watchmen, which is a DC property, is going to be on HBO. A DC property going to be on Netflix, which was where the Marvel hardcore shows were at.
Which is why I think that's part of why they're desperate for.
That's a massive shot across the bow, though, to Marvel, because it was Netflix that chose to end those shows. It wasn't Marvel. Yeah. So it's definitely
Are you sure? It was
sure.
Netflix that chose to end the Marvel shows?
I am fairly certain. I don't think we ever got really definitive
I wouldn't be surprised if Disney put a little bit more pressure.
From all the articles that I read about the ending of the shows, it really seemed like it came down to Netflix not really wanting to work with Disney. Marvel was probably trying to put more control on the production side about how kind of episode count, this kind of stories and whatnot. And so that's my interpretation of the events. It could be that Marvel...
Now, we have seen that Marvel will, if something is successful and working in its own little bubble, they leave it alone.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't see any sign of them pulling up stakes at Universal Studios anytime soon. But they're still building their own stuff on Disney proper.
And they,
I mean, they will still leave something sitting if it's working. So
I do think it was more the Netflix side and to look up new material, and there's not really quite the same analog as, while there should be, there's not really the same thing that DC has an avenue for. The streaming service is not ever going to get the numbers of Netflix. Definitely not ever Disney Plus.
Yeah.
So
I'm just looking forward that I'm very happy that they chose to go with Sandman.
I like it because I'm actually in a monthly Tina too. We're in a monthly comic book club. The book yet. We're in a monthly comic book club, and last month
reread the book.
Last month was the first volume of Sandman.
Oh wow!
So it's very fresh in our mind.
That's fun.
So it's very good timing.
Which this month I'm trying to get it to be the kitchen.
I'm trying to get it to be Transmetropolitan.
I want it to be the kitchen.
Oh, Transmetropolitan.
Yeah,
good.
I want it to be the kitchen because the movie comes out in August.
Yeah, that's the one that
we got good reasons. But
so my thing about this though is Netflix is trying to replace what they had with Marvel. Sandman, it's never going to happen because Sandman doesn't have the sort of penetration into the mainstream that the Marvel, even because Marvel had so many other outlets for promoting that stuff.
I'm also curious. I think DC has plenty of outlets.
Yeah, but Sandman is. But you're right. Sandman is one of those things that's going to come out if it's super good and weird and different. It's going to be like Black Mirror. It's going to be more violent.
Or like Umbrella Academy.
People are going to discover.
It's not going to have the recognition that Daredevil has.
Right.
So I think,
or the Punisher.
Yeah.
Or the Punisher. I don't know how the penetration is going to be on that side. I think it's still going to do pretty decently, but I'm still looking forward to it. I think they will do it right. I really wish more properties went to this TV show format. Honestly, this is where X-Men should go. I don't want an X-Men movie franchise. I agree. X-Men needs to be a show. And
X-Men needs to be an animated show. X-Men needs animated show.
It doesn't have to be animated. I think you can do live
familiar.
But no, I think it will do good. I'm looking forward to it. But I am fascinated. This weird entertainment battle that Netflix has decided to just go to war on.
Right. I'm looking forward to Delirium. Delirium has always been one of my favorite characters in the book.
Yeah. I'm interested to see what they do with it. I will say that my experience with Netflix shows is 2/3 of them I don't like. Stranger Things is the weird sort of standout that I really love. Like they've done a lot of live action animes lately that have been terrible. Like Death Note was terrible.
Bleach was a really good one.
But I think they just
they just released it. They didn't produce it.
So that's the difference.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh no, Death Note was awful.
And the other thing is Bleach was an actual live action Japanese movie they dubbed.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, that might be better.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The live action Bleach was really good, and I didn't even watch Bleach.
But they've also Netflix has been getting aligned with the new, not even that they produced it, but the new dub track and for Evangelion that just hit a week ago.
And that's the thing people get confused about. They're like, "Oh, Netflix is doing this, Netflix is doing that." I'm like, "No, Netflix bought that."
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, they just bought that, and they're putting their name at the beginning.
But it's not their fault. It's Netflix's fault for producing it that way. They brand everything that way.
Well, that
Netflix
and the person, the subtitling for Evangelion was done by Netflix associates, and
but the translation was from Japan.
Some of it was changed.
Most of the
changes were done by the Netflix employee who was dubbing it.
Yeah, but most of those were forced on them by Japan. That's getting into a rabbit hole.
Yeah.
But basically is Netflix is planting its flag in a lot of different places, and it's so weird to see it grasp for straws on where it thinks is going to be the successful battleground in the streaming and entertainment war.
So, all right. Well, I just want to drop it.
Yeah.
I just want to drop Netflix, but we get every once in a while.
There's always something. It's like you gotta keep it to at least try this.
Yeah. So, but it does lead into something. So about new on Blu-ray this week. The only thing is the new Escape Plan movie.
The only new thing is
there are other things, but they're just reissues like of the Professional and things that have been out.
I don't know how this franchise keeps going. So
Right?
Escape Plan is basically after Expendables, Sylvester Stallone.
This is the third Escape.
It's the third one.
Yeah, the first one was first one I have. It's Stallone and Schwarzenegger. The second one was Dave Bautista.
Yeah, and Bautista's back in this one.
Is he? I didn't finish the second one, even though Bautista's in it. I fell asleep during it. I'm like, I'm not worth going back.
He's in this one too, and I don't know.
It's kind of like how the Death Race movies continue.
Kind of, yeah.
It's like that movie was good, and stop.
It's so weird when now, and there were 2 Dave Bautista movie posters because you have the Stuber. And then there's also the one where he's a spy and kind of babysitting a little girl. I forget what it's called. But they're like coming out at the same time, and they're both starring Dave Bautista. And the posters are usually like, it's one of the Dave Bautista poster, then another movie, then the other Dave Bautista poster. And this is so weird.
It's weird. And
he's got a job.
You can't blame him for taking advantage of it while he's hot. But when you that Stuber trailer, the only funny scene in it is when he's doing his Drax.
Yeah.
Pretty much. He's just being Drax. When he's explaining how to shoot the gun.
It's more so...
It's Drax.
Well, it's more so he's taking advantage of the lull that he has because of the delay to get to Guardians 3.
He's
because
doing
of all the
terrible
stuff.
looking
I liked him in Hotel Artemis.
Hotel Artemis was great.
Good. I like.
Oh, and I like.
You see this tag? I'm a healthcare provider.
But what was great, he wasn't doing Drax in that. He was just doing a cool character. And I like that. So, funny thing about speaking of DVD is also, people.
Blade Runner.
Yeah, Blade Runner.
Blade Runner 2049.
Oh, that's right. He was great. He was great in that. Yeah. So people have lost their minds because it was announced last week that The Office is being from Netflix
in 2021.
Yeah, and I guess people are getting upset because, well, like legit, it's always in their trending. It's like one of the most, like the way Friends was when it was there. It's one of the most watched things.
I still haven't watched it,
and I just sat back and laugh because if you have the Blu-ray, who cares?
I never get into it. Like
I've tried watching it, and it's just so mind-numbing to me.
I enjoy clips of The Office. I enjoy watching random clips online. I think it works really well. Watching episode of The Office, I can't get into it.
Well, it falls into a space, and I don't judge really because I can't watch TV now generally unless it's one of two things: one, serialized, or two, anthology. Yeah. It's like the two extremes, the two bookends. Anything in between, I'm just really not that interested. Like I used to watch The Blacklist, and it's not really serialized enough for me anymore, so I let it go.
Yeah, me too. I like James Spader in that show. It's so good.
Yeah, but
and another thing too is like I like smaller format seasons. I don't want 20 episode seasons anymore.
Exactly.
Honestly, if I'm going to watch something like The Office, we'll just watch Parks and Rec or Brooklyn Nine-Nine again.
That's the other thing.
Parks and Rec more so because it has that looking into the camera.
Well, Parks and Rec, most Office-like season is the first season, which is the worst season. So, and not that it's bad, it's just all the seasons get better, and but the first. Definitely the most like it's spun off of Office in terms of like a lot of the people came from it and producing it, and it's borrowing a lot of that same storytelling.
You know what's really funny is I kept hearing while The Office was on, if you're not into The Office, you should watch the original British version because the stories are better. So I watched some of it, and the stories are better, but the main character is even more mean than he is on. And I'm like, I just can't do it. Like I got burnt out on Curb Your Enthusiasm because I just can't look at somebody be such a douche to people.
Yeah, and that's the thing about that is the one thing about the American Office is Michael Scott, the Steve Carell character, isn't really mean. He's just dumb. I do apologize. I have to take this.
Yeah. So, but what I will say, are you familiar with the show Extras?
Vaguely.
So Extras is a Ricky Gervais show, and it falls into what we're talking about. It's more anthology, and it's short seasons like Nico's, so that he likes. It's Ricky Gervais and a girl, an actress from the show Spaced.
Yes.
So it's blonde lady from Spaced, and they're extra TV movie extras. They do TV and movies. So each week, it's their continuing drama of their lives as friends, but they're on a different show or movie each week. And my favorite one is they were on a movie with the kid who plays Harry Potter. I can't
Daniel
remember
Radcliffe.
They were yeah, and at that point he was still a young guy. He was in his I think probably already in his early 20s at that point, but he was playing a teenager, and the main actor is real funny, and Daniel Radcliffe is hilarious in it. But that one's good. I just think it's funny that people are losing their minds over something they could go out and get the DVD box set for $4 and not worry about it.
Yeah.
And has been a thing for me is if I really, really love the show, I'm not going to depend on it staying on Hulu.
Heck, when
jump around so much.
When Buffy was still in reruns, and you could catch it every day at 5:00 or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
The DVDs, because at that point it had come out on Blu-ray. But I'm still buying the DVDs. That way I can watch Buffy whenever I want.
Mm-hmm.
I can watch season 3 of Buffy whenever I want. I don't have to wait for it to circle back around.
Yep.
This is the thing we really have to go buy Daredevil at some point.
Yep. Same. Because how long is Netflix going to let it sit?
Well, there was another story that came out. That,
this is what happens when you transition between two things.
Maybe Daredevil could be. No, Netflix is taking down the show, or at least episodes or something, and that's theirs. I don't know in terms of the division of ownership, but it's Netflix brand show. They could do that with the Marvel shows.
They could.
And there's at least one Marvel show I want to own. Daredevil.
Yeah, I would like to own all of Daredevil.
Would be cool too.
The 2 seasons of Punisher would be cool because I did come in.
At least season 1 of Jessica.
There's a new season of Jessica Jones.
And
no one's talking about it. No one's saying anything.
One's giving it a shot.
Well, no one wants to invest because they know it's stopping.
Yeah.
I watched the first episode and it wasn't enough for me to decide.
Not only do they know it's stopping, but season 2 left a lot of people with a bad
I didn't finish
taste in
it.
their mouth.
I thought it was terrible.
I've heard differing things. I have heard it's better than season 2. Be one consensus I've heard.
Well, at least there's that. And I like her as an actress. I want her to do
well. Kristen Ritter.
Yeah, Kristen Ritter's great. I think she did great in the role. I think it's muddied with the fact that season 2 was bad and kind of spending too much time on the supporting cast.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's very hard to do that when you're... It's very hard to do that when a lot of your supporting cast isn't likable.
Yeah.
And they make
Patsy. Nobody cares about Patsy.
Patsy's the blonde girl?
Yeah, Patsy.
The only person in her, the supporting cast of that show that I actually like.
Hogarth?
Yeah, from The Matrix.
Yeah.
What's her name?
Carrie-Anne Moss.
Carrie-Anne Moss. I liked her.
She was good.
Yeah.
And she was just self-destructing the whole show.
Sure. Yeah. And she crossed over the other shows, too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I liked her. I liked her assistant character through the first season.
Yeah.
And then halfway through the second season until they kind of split up and then he's joined this other faction. I stopped paying attention to him then. Yeah. But in the last season just started going in these other stories. So it just, And
see, Daredevil has likable secondary characters. Yeah. I like
Foggy.
Foggy is great. And the red-haired girl who was on
Karen.
True Blood, she's great, but it still focused on him. It just gave them ample time to develop as characters, too.
And ultimately, their stories fed into his stories. That's the thing with a lot of Jessica Jones' backup characters, supporting characters. They don't really support the story.
And then I saw that at the end of season 2, I didn't finish it, I watched a recap, that she the blonde girl that everybody doesn't like, gets passed. Yeah. Through drugs or something.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
I understand that because the character does in comics, Patsy Walker is a superhero called Hellcat. But she's also mostly completely different character. They actually use a lot of the same backstory, but she's also fun.
Yeah. Well, that's where you have to do two things: lean into the actor for one.
Yeah.
Because I actually thought that was the thing. One of the things for me with Iron Fist is it was badly done, but I also didn't like the actor. And she just wasn't the right person, I guess.
Yeah.
We got to move forward. We got to say one little thing about comics.
We got one more.
Yeah.
All right, so we're going to get the comics real quick, not that we haven't already.
Right.
Coming out this week, Marvel has a new series started called Arrow #1, AERO, not like the Archer.
Yep.
Immortal Hulk #20, Miss Marvel Annual #1, Savage Avengers #3, and Uncanny X-Men #21. DC, we have Deceased #3 of 6. It's first of 2 zombie-related books this week. Green Lantern #9. Quinn.
Heard Marvel Zombies coming back in October.
It is, yeah. There's going to be a hole to fill. Green Lantern #9. Harley Quinn number 63, Lois Lane number 1 of 12. It's what DC likes to call a maxi series, and Wildstorm number. In other books, we have, as we talked about earlier, Buffy the Vampire Slayer number 6. This one's an interesting title. Charlie's Angels versus the Bionic Woman number 1.
Interesting.
Bionic.
I said Bionic, yeah, Bionic.
Yeah. The Charlie's Angels looks like trash too, by the way.
It looked alright.
Yeah.
Red Sonja number 6, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles number 95, and the big news this week, The Walking Dead 193, which was announced on Monday, just 2 days ago, is the last issue of The Walking Dead.
I'm like in
Surprise.
shock.
The phone was also surprised.
MFers? Does anybody know anything about how it ends? I just didn't know this was coming.
They all get eaten.
I know.
Okay, good. That's what I was hoping for.
Walking Dead spoilers. Rick died last issue,
Yeah.
so it caught up with the show.
Yeah, I guess so, right?
Rick died last issue, and it's kind of supposed to be Rick's legacy. It's the kind of a Dannenbach conclusion epilogue of the series. The interesting thing about Walking Dead though is there were solicits for like 194, 195, fake covers.
Did you wonder if somebody like got into a fight or something?
I don't think that was it. Kirkman, I think
they
faked
were
it out.
trolling people.
No,
Yeah.
Robert Kirkman has done interviews. Robert Kirkman's the writer of The Walking Dead. He's the creator. He's wrote every issue.
Yeah.
Executive producer on all the shows. He came out in some articles saying that he likes it when you don't know it's the end. When you that's why he even says like I like really long movies because you lose track of time. It's like you don't know when it's going to be the end of the movie. And so he just wanted to go in and just let the end happen. Mm-hmm. Although it kind of fails because people know it's the end now before the book came out, but barely. And I think it's fascinating. I don't know. Completionist in me, the OCD is like you could have waited 7 months and ended at 200,
right?
And it would have been a nice round number, but
it would have been more expected.
But yeah, The Walking Dead is now over in books. If you're waiting on that to read the comic, it's over.
Did he never give any answers in the books?
I don't know.
I have not kept up with the books. Not in a long time.
No, I haven't read. I read like the first few trades, and that's it. Mm-hmm. Just because it's
a lot.
And I also fell off the show too. It is a lot. I know Michonne apparently lives to this issue, or lives into this issue.
I see that's the difference with the comics is I'm still watching the show, but it's because I'm one of those people that still has DVR.
Yeah.
Whereas it's late and I have nothing else to do. Click, let's just watch.
That's true.
Yeah, and that's what kept me up with Into the Badlands till it ended, which
we still have to catch
ended.
up.
I hear that. Yeah.
We still have to catch up on that.
All right, I guess I'm gonna have to buy this. I don't know. Some part of me just wants to read how it ended.
I'll wait until they come out with like a
trade
master collection.
I'm wondering if I should do that too because
they have pretty hefty size collections. So.
I haven't really read regularly since issue 100.
The Walking Dead is the only comic my mom ever read.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, at least she read a comic though. That's cool.
The show. She absolutely adored the show.
So she started reading
because she hates gore. But I was like, hey mom, I really want to watch. I was living with her. Mm-hmm. I was like, hey mom, I really want to watch the show. Do you mind if I claim the TV for an hour? She was like, fine, but I'm not going anywhere. I was like, okay, it's a zombie show. She got more into it than I did by the end of the first episode. She was like, when's this air? We gotta put it in our calendar.
That's hilarious.
So
I hear Fear the Walking Dead's pretty good. I hear it's good. It's got the one good character from the actual moved over there now. So I'm curious if you listen to the audio version of this show or you check this out on Facebook or whatever. I would love to hear some people comment on what they think about the new Spider-Man movie because I look at the reviews and I look at it on Rotten Tomatoes. It's at 9% right now.
It's a pretty high percent.
It is not a 9.4. I'm sorry. I love the character. I love Spider-Man, but it's not a 9.5. It's not that good. So I wonder why it's so high. I would love to hear people. Be
us being our comic book nerdy selves. So.
I don't think so.
Well,
I would
let us know. Tell us. Yeah. Facebook, YouTube streams, wherever you can comment.
Tell us why we're wrong. I would love to hear it. I love that conversation. Right. Yeah, except from Zach. No one wants to hear it from me. Yeah. But which, by the way, number score was 5 out of 10.
That doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, which average compared to our score is probably about right. Yeah, it's probably about where it should be.
Oh.
All right, so Nico, what are we on the internet?
On all Founders social networks, Twitter, Instagram, under Just follow me talking mostly about D&D, Dungeons and Dragons stuff, book stuff a lot. Photos of me eating ramen. That's good times. Yeah.
You can find me on Twitter at CheddarPopper, CheddarPoppr, and Instagram at Novinity Avalon.
All right, cool. So find me at things Culture Smash, mostly Facebook, a little bit on Instagram, and everything. Everything Family of Fear. And we just kind of today we started rolling out the announcement, but we've been to screen at CreepyCon, which is a trade show event that is open to in Knoxville the weekend of August 23rd. Is for house owners, people who work at haunted houses, and people who love haunted houses. It's a giant convention, and we're going to screen 2 days, Saturday and Sunday, and we're going to have a lot of people from the film show up and sign DVDs and stuff. And we're going to contribute Tate from whatever we sell. So,
nice.
So come out there. It's in Knoxville. Look it up online, and or just hit the Family Fair Movie Facebook, and we'll keep you updated. I guess that'll bring us to a close.
All right.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
See you next week.